Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So, another thing that the RadFems have, the radical feminists, in their tenets, is that the objectification of women is not desirable. And so, on my notes here, I wrote, objectification is when you view women primarily as objects of male desire and utility rather than autonomous individuals. Now, here's the funny part, okay? I want you to look around our world, and I want you to think about how many women don't have a brain, and the only reason why they have anything at all is because of their looks. When you look at who Jeff Bezos married before she kind of really ruined her face with plastic surgery, she was decent looking, and obviously he married her for her looks. If she would have been an obese cow with mangled teeth or no teeth at all, and she was like, tatted up, looking wild, he wouldn't have looked at her. Melania Trump. You look at even the whole Kardashian cult. They monetized their beauty and became quite wealthy. It is far easier for a woman to monetize her beauty to get rich than to use her brain and earn it. And when I have taken time and examined a lot of the Christian right-wing influencers online, they have to use beauty as the catcher. So, Fox News is a good example. They would have women in tight dresses, platinum blonde, and then they would always have the camera facing on their legs. They would be freshly shaved legs, shiny, right? And they'd have a tan or something like that. So when you look at female influencers in the X arena, as in Twitter, formerly, X now, they show their cleavage. They wear a cross, but they show their cleavage. Their beauty is the forward thing. And it's amazing how many of them post bikini pics, you name it. Like, they always have to incorporate their sexuality and do thirst traps. Even Pearl Davis, with her, Fiona face, she tried to do thirst traps when she lost some weight. And I was like, wow, the person who criticizes women for thirst trapping does it herself, okay? Now, and also on her Instagram, I remember, I don't know if she deleted it, but she had a dress on that I was like, that literally looks like a nightgown, like a nightie. Like, that's like so absurdly short that it looks like it's something you wear under a dress, not a dress itself. But I digress. The point is that a lot of Christian influencers who claim to be conservative lead with their sexuality. The redheaded libertarian, she's always posting thirst traps even though she's married. Lauren Chen, like, no matter which way you square it, these women have to always remind their male followers that they still got it. And I know some women will tell me right now, no, there's plenty of fat, ugly women who are balling out of control, and they earned it. The one phenomenon was this, what is his name, Sam Bankman-Fried, the Jewish guy who did a cryptocurrency, and he has like a Jufro. His girlfriend was like incredibly ugly, but she's rich, so, and I think she's the one who snitched on him or something. But it's very rare for an ugly woman to get the bag, to get wealthy, to really gain status without using her looks first. This is why so many of those Christian women really fear the hijab, the niqab, the burqa, the khimar, the abaya, because it limits their ability to thirst trap while married, because they're able to use themselves as bait for the next guy who's out there who maybe can sweep them off their feet into a better relationship. So I've really taken a step back, and I've gone through like vintage movie. I guess you can't call them vintage, but think about this. These RadFems complain that women are viewed as sex objects by the male desire, right? Yet they criticize Islamic clothing which doesn't serve the male gaze. They call that oppression. And then when women are wearing barely any clothes in the gym, they tell men you're a pig for looking. And then there was that TikTok phenomenon. It's not as popular now, where they shame men for even glancing at them when they're basically in underwear working out. And you're like, wow, this is crazy. And women will wear thongs and bikinis to the beach. During the gay pride parades, they will often just have pasties on their nips and they're parading about. And if you think of them as something sexual, you're a pig. So no matter which way you look at it, these women, they never make sense. They sectify, we should call them. They do stuff to make men want to look. They accentuate their features. They create an allure around them. They want to look beautiful, and then they get mad when people look. And then when women decide, you know what, we're going to break free from that system and cover up, they mock them. For example, there was a lot of the RadFems were mocking I believe it was an all-female gym in Somalia, where the women are fully covered and they're working out, and all these women were making fun of them, you know? Meanwhile, the women who are like, oh, Stitch incoming, and they're literally doing squats, and then they're like, I can't believe this dirty pig looked at me. I wish I had a female-only space. Ugh. And you're like, okay. So you mock women who cover, who don't want to serve the male gaze, and go to an all-female gym, but then you call these women oppressed when they dress nearly nude, and men look at them in a mixed gym. So the thing is about RadFems is they're always complaining about something, they're never happy, and they choose to go into spaces where there are men and dress in a way that stimulates a heterosexual male that has healthy testosterone, and then, you know, they're able to be like simultaneously oppressed and simultaneously empowered. And what's funny further is that when you have the Shira 7 cult members, and Shira 7 is an occultist, self-admitted, she's like the gold digger guru. She tells women that, yes, men are visual creatures and you have to give them variety, and you lead with beauty. You have to be nice to look at. And then the RadFems will be like, yes, queen, yes, you're right. You know, we're goddesses, astaghfirullah. You know, but then when a Muslim woman says, you know what, I don't want to serve the male gaze, I really want to cover as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded, and I just want to save my beauty for my husband. Muslim women are called pikmishas, they're insulted, they're degraded, and you're like, this is crazy. And so my point is that American women, like when you look at movies like Joe Dirt, even Cheaper by the Dozen too, they use hot women in their movies to sort of sell tickets. You can't have a movie with ugly women and sell box office like skyrocketing things. What I mean by that is these, like, okay, if Daenerys Targaryen was an ugly woman, few people would have watched. You know, that you gotta have beautiful women in order to keep people looking. And once a woman becomes covered and modest, people get bored, they don't want to see. And even in, I mean, just go back and look at some of these movies from the 90s. Like Not Another Teen Movie, Scary Movie 1 and 2. Like, they always have to have attractive women doing something sensual and exposing their bodies in order to get men to watch. HBO has been doing this for a long time. Okay? That's why The Sopranos, Boardwalk Empire, there's countless shows that have done really well for also their storytelling, but they had to have female nudity. Men wouldn't watch. And I really hope one day that the Muslim world can create halal, you know, movies and entertainment that are halal, like where the women aren't wearing too much makeup. You could have great actresses in niqabs. I don't know, do something, figure it out, because people want to be entertained. People want to have some catharsis and entertainment, some leisurely time, and they want to have a good story. And so do something that can make them learn about Islam in a halal way. Otherwise, you're really competing with, I mean, cartoons, you're competing with so much stuff where female objectification, as the RadFems call it, is the primary focus to sell tickets and get views. Now, the Prophet, peace be upon him, has a hadith that says, you know, he didn't leave behind a greater thing than the fitna of women, or he's leaving behind the fitna of women. I forget how exactly it's worded. But the point is what that it reminds us is that women are a fitna for men, and a lot of women get pissed off about this. But let's look at American culture, okay, shall we? The Playboy Mansion, tons of men, married men, Christian men, really obsessed with that mansion. It's not popular anymore, but if you look at how many men desire to be surrounded by white blondes, they were like, hey, you know, I want to be there. All those men are lucky. Elvis Presley went there. If you look at how many famous men went to that mansion when I believe his name was Hugh Hefner was alive, it was quite a lot. And these women led with their beauty. Hooters, which I do believe they're trying to rebrand and become more family friendly, but the thing is, they used the appeal of female sexuality to get customers. If you look up how many strip clubs are in the United States, you look in some of these LA, there's just women in thongs in the street selling themselves. You go to Miami, Las Vegas, there's female sexuality everywhere. It's an economy, and Dubai is famous for human trafficking, but also for their escort service. So Dubai sure has got tall buildings or whatever, and desalinated water, but the point is non-iodized water. Forget which one it is, but they're like a sandy brothel. It's crazy. I don't really like Dubai, and I've never been there, and I don't want my children to ever go there. But I think once you do, it damages your reputation. I don't care what you say. But the point is that Dubai leads with, we got a lot of whores here, and when women think about Dubai, they're like, okay, you can use your sexuality to get a ticket to Dubai. In the 90s and the 80s, it was Las Vegas. And men would be like, oh, I'm going to go be a showgirl or a stripper or something like that. You know. So, all across the world, female sexuality sells. And if all men were gay, women wouldn't have any power at all. None whatsoever. That's why it's really funny how the RadFems, they don't really attack gay men for the most part. They really attack heterosexual men. And some of these women are also occultists, which I find to be odd because they're trying to harness this sort of inverted female sexuality to use it as a tool of manipulation, to be the sort of vampiric woman who is able to manipulate men and trail them along like puppets. But she wouldn't be able to do that unless she was attractive, right? When a woman loses her beauty, she no longer has this sort of staying power. Yes, there are men who will value women for their wisdom, for their contributions, but the fitna of women's beauty is very apparent, which is, I think, the evidence for that is the whole reason why we have to cover. Why was the hijab invented? Why was modesty prescribed on the Muslim woman if their beauty wasn't a powerful force? And clearly, men themselves know how hard it is to lower the gaze is quite difficult. So it's hard for men to not look. Even women look. When you see someone who's extremely beautiful, you're just like, whoa, she's got it going on. But you have to lower your gaze, right? And so, women utilize their sexuality, their beauty, primarily themselves. But then get mad when men view them, firstly, as something ugly or beautiful. I just wish some women would be honest. Because if you cover, your views are going to go down. Now, if you're in Spanx and a crop top, your views are going to go up. Gooners, these young simp gooners will flood money into these Twitch streamers who are in hot tubs and splashing water on themselves. They'll give countless amounts of money to those women for simply showing boobs on Twitch, which doesn't violate the community guidelines. These women will be contributing nothing. Meat Canyon has a really great cartoon. I think They call him Papa Meat Canyon. I really like his artistic style. But he has one called The Death of the Simp, and it's just perfect. And if you think about how, for example, Hoktwa Girl, she was a lady who just said something vulgar when she was drunk, and she became super famous. And you're like, she's not smart, she's not intelligent, she's just attractive, said something sexual, became viral, right? What is going on here? She got a podcast. Now she did a crypto scam, so I think she's on the way out. But the point is that society rewarded her because she was an attractive woman saying something vulgar. Okay? When you look at Kim Kardashian, she got famous for her own mother using her sex tape to the public with, I think, some guy named Ray J, or I don't remember his name. Okay? So, J-Lo, all these women, they would not be famous unless they use their sexuality. Madonna, even Madonna with her old self, she's still trying to slang it. She still won't just retire and go put everything on ice. She is trying to be a sex object at her old, scraggly age. Martha Stewart was like doing a duck face in the mirror not too long ago. It's wild to me. And the whole meme of wood online, where you have a picture of an older woman who's still trying to flaunt it like she got it like she was 20, and then young men being like wood, and you're like, you see? So women themselves lead with that. They don't lead with their brain. And it's hard, I'd argue, this may sound nihilistic and cynical, but I do think for many men it's extremely hard to listen to a woman talk who's not attractive or who's covered and where their sexual attention has been eroded. I really think they should do some type of study, right? Get a curtain, have a woman talk, put up the curtain, have the woman on the one side, man on the other, have her lecture him, put on some like brain nodes or whatever they're called, wiring on his head, look at his brain stuff on the screen, and see if he's engaged or even paying attention. And then remove that curtain, have a woman there in a very tight dress with her cleavage out and high heels and all adorned. Watch him pay attention. So now, sure, he's staring at her like, oh yeah, oh sure, but he's totally enthralled, right? It's hard for him to look away. And marketing agencies know this. They've known this since the 50s. Use the women in your advertising. Get a little bit of heel, get a little bit of leg. These men will slop it up. It's like pouring chum into the water for sharks. It's a recipe that works. Okay? HBO and boobs. They know it. Like, for example, House of the Dragon put it on way too thick. You know, they just basically made an adult film. There was very little great acting, very little actual dragon fighting, no really good storytelling, right? So if you look at Lord of the Rings, great show without any nudity like HBO's House of the Dragon, right? Fire and Blood, George R. R. Martin. And meanwhile, HBO really insulted its viewers. Like, yeah, we're just gonna nudity. You know, you don't even feel like you're watching something of a fantasy story. You feel like you're watching something that's adult entertainment. It's like gooning material. It's not even... You're just glazing that stuff. What is going on here? And then, you know, what did Elon do with his AI? There's a spicy button on Grok. You have to say you're 18 or older. So Elon, he created, Grok Imagine, where you can make a female character who you can goon to. And it's just so bizarre how women will deny the power of female beauty, and they deny how their beauty is what can save them. It's one of the best tools Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you, but you should use it for your husband. It's strange to me how RadFems will deny this, because RadFems reject, oftentimes, normative beauty standards. So staying trim, not looking like a goth, shaving your armpits, shaving your legs. I remember a RadFem insulted me because I told her I like the way my legs feel when I'd shaved. I don't like hairy, scratchy Wolverine legs. And they were like, oh, how could you? Sounds time consuming, and you're like, really? You're so lazy you won't even shave your legs. But I digress. The point is, and remember, Islam tells women to pluck their pubes, if you're not aware. I believe it's for men too. But the point is that in Islam we fully recognize the power of a woman's allure, her beauty, and how that, I'm sorry, women will always say this, some women rather, oh, men shouldn't want someone, like men shouldn't pick someone just for their beauty, but then no woman asks Allah to be ugly. No one wants to be ugly. Okay? Being ugly is a huge disadvantage. It's like being a cactus, amongst the orchids. It's not gonna work. Cactus amongst the lilies. It's hard to even get jobs. So many women are where they are in life because they use their sex appeal. So I find it insulting to my intelligence when someone tries to be like, the male desire is terrible and they should only view us as autonomous individuals. I remember Roma Army once said the reason why she tatted herself up so badly was because she wanted to be seen as more than just a pretty face. And I was like, so you made yourself with throat tattoos and did an upside down cross on your throat because you were traumatized through, I think it was somebody M'd her, like molested her, I believe she said, and that that trauma, she's like she inverted it and wanted to repel men. But then she also went on later to create adult content, which unfortunately when I had the app MeWe, I was in the political groups. Some men's rights activists posted the adult content that she made, and on MeWe there was autoplay, and as you're scrolling you're like, oh, and so I actually saw it, and then I had to leave that group, and eventually I deleted the app because you need to have some type of filter on there. At least with X there's like a screen, and you're like, I don't need to see that. But Roma herself, she said she got tattoos to say I'm more than just a pretty face, and then she went on to say like, oh, I did adult content, and different stages of her life, and now she's a men's rights activist. And even when she got that Patreon, she was selling thirst traps. Like, if you get into a certain tier, she gives you thirst trap pictures if you join a certain tier on her Patreon. So she knows I have to show the goods in order to get money, in order to get attention. And so even some of these men's rights activists, you're like, you still got a thirst trap in order to get these men to give you money and to give you attention and views. It's quite telling. It's quite telling. So men are not wrong, I'm arguing, for viewing women primarily with your character and beauty. I think so many men, they want to have that perfect combo, right? Beautiful, kind, good mother, and this. But beauty has to be there. I don't see men marrying very ugly women if they can avoid it. Some men marry because they're tired of fasting and not having someone to warm their bed, so they marry someone below what they wanted. Okay, they married the best they could get. But I just interview men. Would you rather have a beautiful woman or an ugly woman? Now I have seen polls where it has a fat woman that says she's fat but she obeys you and will take care of you and give you children. Do you want her, or do you want the beautiful bombshell who argues with you and doesn't listen to you and is rebellious? And then some men said, well, the fat lady can always lose weight, but the other woman, it's going to be harder for her to fix her attitude. Losing weight is easier than fixing attitude, which is an ingrained habit. Think about it. And further, okay, Sadia Khan is now on a massive scandal, and they found out that she's not really a trained psychologist. She doesn't really have any degrees. And Rollo Tomasi, I was listening to a clip he had. He said, she got where she got and got on podcasts because she's beautiful. Okay, she leads with beauty. She's heavily adorned, so she gets where she gets because she's a woman and she's beautiful, versus when there's men who are more informed on the topic she discusses, they don't get platformed by the gatekeepers. Women who have, their allure out get way more clicks than an old man who's got wisdom. This is the way the cookie crumbles. So beauty actually enables women to be more autonomous individuals, is what I'm trying to say. Okay? I really do think they need to do some more research on this, but I wonder if feminists would allow it or not riot. Where let's do a comparison with how did women get rich? Was it through using their looks or using their brains? Now the hard part is the combo of looks and brains. There's a lot of beautiful Chinese women who then go into the medical field, right? But the point is that women today, what do they do right when they turn 18? They're creating OF pages. Why is that? Because they know it's fast, easy money from simps. Proving they are willing to objectify themselves to get more money. Now, to be fair, lots of RadFems are like, don't create adult entertainment. Whereas the liberal feminists and the progressive feminists are like, no, monetize it, do whatever you gotta do to get the money. Occultic feminists, honey, they'll say, get the bag any way you gotta get it. By hook or by crook, get it while it's hot. And so you have a lot of different ethics within the feminist branches. My point is, though, if you went to a woman and said, would you give up your beauty and be a hideous ogre and just use your brain to operate in the world? Some might be like, sure. Like, okay, let's defigure your face now then. No! Okay, then you're a liar. When women become mangled, like they lose their hair, let's say they get like terrible acne, they know if they become ugly, that their life to get a job, to get attention, to be respected, is gonna suffer. Why do you think female comedians, they always have to be vulgar and talk about intimacy, their bits? They always have to talk about something lewd. And it's disgusting, but on their mind, they know they don't actually have real comedic talent. They always have to get men stimulated vulgarly in order to get views and attention. And so you're like, okay, what's going on here? Even Lizzo, she was obese. She's like, I'm proud to be fat. I'm proud to be unhealthy. And now look, she's on Ozempic. She's trimming down, and she's very happy about it. The other lady, I forgot her. She's a white lady. I don't remember her name, but she was another fat advocate. Why can't I remember her name? Was it McCarthy something? I can't remember. But she was another fat advocate. Pro body positivity, obesity schmuck. And she lost weight, and people were pissed. She lost a lot of her fan base, but gained new ones. And she looked so much better. But she knew, even the fat advocates knew, you look better when you're trim, and you get more when you're beautiful. Katy Perry, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Jennifer Lopez, Beyonce, they would not be famous if they were ugly. They could have the voice of a beautiful little thing, and they wouldn't get as many. I've heard some older black women sing like soul music, just like the old slave hymns. Sing it. It's got they don't need instruments. They don't need nothing. The way they sing can make you cry. They're not famous. These are old women. Some of them are like 30, but they're out of shape. They're not getting the accolades. So this proves time and time again, you will get famous faster if you're sexy and you show it. Rihanna. Would Rihanna have become famous if she didn't lead with sexuality? Show me a female musician who isn't beautiful and who's hideous, who gets as much money as one of the beautiful women. Just can't happen. Now, men, that's a whole different story. Biggie Smalls was fat and hideous, and he still got beautiful women because he had money. It's a totally different dynamic. Jay-Z is absolutely atrocious looking, but he married Beyonce. Men have a whole different game. You can be ugly, but you got money, the birds will fly. When it comes to women, no, it's a totally different game. So I disagree wholeheartedly when the RadFems are like, it's terrible that men look at women as objects of desire. When if women didn't have that, how many women throughout the past would have died in war? You know, beauty is a manipulative tool. How many men, like, they were like, just imagine, he has a long sword, he's getting ready to chop off someone's head, and the woman removes her cloak, her hair is flowing, her eyes are dazzling, and he's like, oh, he holds his sword. But if he was like a hideous, like, ah, he'd be like, oh, there's no, they can't harm beauty as much as they can harm something that's ugly. Think about that on a deep level. Getting rid of something ugly is easier than getting rid of something that's beautiful. Because you want to possess it. It's beautiful. You want to look at it. It brings you pleasure by just staring at it. Something that's ugly turns away your gaze. The less focus you give it, the less power it has, the less attachment you have, the less bond you have, the easier it is to get rid of it. Right? And so, yes, men can still respect women and not just view them as something to be adorned with beautification, right? But it's absurd to insult heterosexual males for seeing women's beauty first. Because women judge women on their beauty. I mean, come on. Women constantly police each other and talk smack. They'll claim they don't. Like, oh, I'm never judgmental. Oh, how could you even suggest such a thing? Meanwhile, the women, when you're in the mall, just watch the women's eyes. They're like, oh, she thinks she's so hot. Stupid this, stupid that. And women's jealousy of other women proves that they see the beauty first as well. Think about it. Women, they'll be like, why are you looking at that girl's picture on Instagram? Because the women know, like, okay, she's hot, and she has a certain power, and she gets the views, and she has a power there. So women themselves, when they get views and money from their beauty, they like it. But when someone else gets it who's competing with them, they don't like it. And then they shame people around that. Like, oh, you shouldn't just look at women as sexual beings. Meanwhile, she sexualizes herself. Why are you wearing that color that looks great on your skin? Why are you wearing tight-fitting clothing? Why are you wearing clown levels of makeup? Because you want to snatch the gaze. You want to be in the spotlight. You know, that's why it makes zero sense when RadFems and feminists in general, or really any woman, complains about objectification. Because very few women want to give up their beauty and be hideous monsters. The paradox of this world is that, okay, you want people to respect you for your brains and everything, but your beauty is this just trampoline, boing, that can put you into a whole hierarchy. How many princes really wanted to pick someone who was attractive? If there was no one else to marry, sure, maybe they married her for political things, for political reasons, alliances and treaties and whatnot, for heirs, but then they desired that chambermaid or someone else who was attractive on the side. It's not wrong for men to want to have an attractive partner, and it's not wrong for them to have eyes that perceive beauty. You should want morals and beauty, no doubt. And we know the Prophet, peace be upon him, gave a list that said that you should marry a woman for her piety, but he did say it was permissible to marry her for her beauty. That's a blessing when used right. Allah gave women beauty, and when you think about the Huri al-Ain, I hope I said that right. I always struggle with some Arabic words, but the Huri, the creatures, entities of paradise, look how they're described in the Quran. Are they described as hideous? Nope. They're not described as hideous. That shows you right there that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created men with a certain fitrah. And yes, time strips us of that, and it's painful to let it go. When the gray hairs come and the wrinkles come, and you're walking out of your prime, Yes, it's a bitter exit off stage. But that doesn't then mean you turn around and shame men for participating in the system you yourself participated in. See, I noticed this as well. Women in the West, in particular, they're very happy to use their sexuality when they're in their 20s, and they get a kick out of the simps. But then, when they start to hit 31, 32, when the 22-year-olds and the 19-year-olds are out competing them, then they want to turn around and pull the ladder up behind them. They don't want other women to benefit from using their beauty while young, so they shame the men and be like, no, you should marry someone for their brains. Now, a low IQ woman can give birth to low IQ males, and a low IQ male has a harder time of getting, prosperity. You got to be a smart man in this world. So I'm not saying that men should marry women who have like the IQ of a shoe, right? Obviously not, because you want a smart woman. She's going to be taking care of your kids, and if you got a moron, I mean, that's quite dangerous as well. And so again, there's a balance here, but we shouldn't mince words. We should not lie to women and say that men are incapable of seeing your beauty, and that they won't see your beauty, and that it's possible to erase men from seeing your beauty when they're heterosexual, right? So, again, if women really didn't want to be objectified, they wouldn't mind modesty. They wouldn't fear the hijab. That's the thing, is these women will be showing their legs, showing their cleavage, showing their backs. They know this makes them more attractive to men. And then they'll turn around and say, how dare you objectify me? I'm not a sex object. Or the whole eyes up here. That's the... like, they show it, they know it distracts men, and they're like, eyes up here. Okay, so cover it if you want them to focus on you. How dare you? You're a misogynist. And it's like, okay, you show it so they look. You get mad when they look. We tell you to cover so they can focus better, and you call that misogyny. So you're fighting for the right to show it and then get mad at the results of showing it. Who can understand you? Who can understand you? So obviously the hijab in the Islamic system is better for women, because I really believe that once you start practicing the hijab and dressing more modestly, you see how men ignore you more, which can be painful for some women. No doubt, it can be painful for some women because they're so used to, like, wow, I get all these DMs, I get all these emojis, all this stuff. And some women, like Brittany Renner, I haven't checked up on her to see how she's doing with Islam, but the hijab was very hard for her to even dance with, as we'll say, because she makes money from her body. That's what she led with. Her body is what got her to dating, Colin Kaepernick, Kevin Samuels. She was able to make the rounds of these influential men because of her body and beauty and sexuality. It wasn't because of her brains. Okay? And so a lot of women also, they get married to a rich man by using their beauty, and then through divorce they get money. So if you look at how many women got money from divorces, you'll be like, okay, we can see a trail here. They get married in their prime, they're attractive, they're supermodel levels. Then when their looks start to fade and their husband cheats, or he's getting bored with them, and their vapid relationship starts to crumble, she divorces, she gets a big fat payday. So her beauty was the whole reason why she got that divorce payday, right? Because she wouldn't be able to get married to that level of a guy in her older years, usually, right? Like, think about Pamela Anderson. She made tons of money from her beauty. Now she's older, and she's with that one guy she's dating. Oh, the guy who did the movie Taken. I'll find you. Oh, I forget his name. But she's older now, and I've seen a lot of people comment, she looks, It's hard how much time destroys some women. And you don't want to have a Joanne Rivers face where you keep getting sliced up like Swiss cheese under the knife of plastic surgeons in order to compete with a 20-year-old, because you end up looking like a really strange creature. You know, the funny part is, look at the trajectory of Laura Loomer's plastic surgery. When she was younger, that crazy woman, and then now she looks like that character in Saw, that one with the white mask and the red circles on his cheek. Like, she looks like that, and it's like really scary how plastic surgery done over and over and over makes these caricature faces of the women. You know, so women are going to get Botox, BBLs, plastic surgery of all kinds, even removing some ribs so that they can be slender. I've even seen plastic surgery for women to fix the way their toes are. It's crazy. So clearly women themselves will alter in order to be whatever men want them to be. And then when the men respond, they're like, oh, how dare you? How dare you objectify me? Again, your beauty is a tool. How you use that tool is important. In Islam, you cover your beauty, save it for your husband, make beautiful children. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Don't become an OF chick. Don't become an escort. Don't do none of that. You have your beauty for your husband. Everything's gravy, right? But again, a lot of women know that the only reason why they have viewers, the only reason why they're famous, is because of their sexuality. If you look at Britney Spears, she was stunning when she was younger, and now she's just crazy in her kitchen, dancing with knives and smeared eyeliner and mascara. Completely lost her mind. And you're like, retire already. Like, put it away. But she'll be in her, like, a swimsuit, doing crazy things in the kitchen. She's still trying to get that male gaze, right? And so you're like, this is a really sad end for that woman who was so stunning for like a long time, and now look at her. The desire to monetize sexuality is embedded within her, and who knows what's happened to her. You look at Amanda Bynes when she was on Nickelodeon. She was funny, she was talented, she got traumatized by that. There was a documentary on him. Sorry, I forgot his name. The one who did iCarly, like, he was the producer, director, weirdo. But Amanda Bynes today looks completely different, and she looks terrible, but she's getting sober, right? But the point is that these women, they absorb all that male gaze, they keep serving it, it warps them, and then they crumble later on, and they're addicted to the male gaze, and then they disfigure themselves, and they torment themselves with drugs to escape their own consciousness, and they spiral out. Islam helps you avoid that whole path by encouraging you to be happy with covering, to actually be comfortable within yourself. Because you wear a hijab, a niqab, a khimar, jilbab, abaya, you're not leading with sexuality. You have when you're in the niqab, when you're covered, this actually forces men to participate and engage with who you are as a person. A lot of RadFems won't admit that. They won't. They'll be like, and some men, they resent you covering. If you think about a man who's like, I expect the woman to have her tits out as she's my server, because otherwise I'm not coming here to eat. I want to have something to stare at while I eat. If a woman has a hijab on and she's loose covered, they're like, oh, this is not very entertaining. So there's a balance there, and that is something I think you should note. So let me know what you think. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, join the blog. And what do you think? What have you noticed in society? Let us know.